Welcome to DRC Live, powered in part by Classic of Denton and the Denton Record-Chronicle. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com.
Good afternoon, Denton, Texas. I am Lucinda Breeding. I'm the features editor at the Denton Record-Chronicle, and
I'm Jenna Duncan. I'm the business editor at the Denton Record-Chronicle, and this is our weekly show where we talk about business news and community events and what's coming up for our week every week, Wednesdays, 2 p.m., DentonRadio.com. Yeah. So let's jump into it. What are you working on?
Yeah, just because Twilight Tunes has come to a conclusion and we've gotten past the 4th of July doesn't mean that there's nothing going on. There is stuff going on.
I feel like I totally feel that. I'm always like,
I know. It's like
it's over. All the big stuff
all the big stuff is over.
But it's not.
But it is not. I kind of consider these guys like sort of like country music legends. I know that those words get kind of used with different shades of context, but Kelly Willis and Bruce Robison are going to be here in Denton on Sunday at Dan Silverleaf.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, doors open at 4 and the show starts at 5. So that's what I really like about Dan Silverleaf is that they really on their Sunday shows when at all possible.
Are the best.
Yeah, and they try to get him going earlier so that you can go home and get ready for Monday. But no, so Kelly Willis and Bruce Robison, they married couple. They both do a lot of solo projects. This is their 4th album together. It's called Beautiful Lie. It dropped on June 21st, so it hasn't even been out a month yet. And they actually created, or they recorded songs by Adam Wright. And this is one of those albums that is really, I think of it as like an analog album. There's not a whole lot of digital stuff on the record. You hear the bass, you hear the guitar, you hear the drums, you hear all of the instrumentation. And got to talk to Kelly Willis yesterday. Ooh. And she talked about how they recorded as much of this record together live as possible. They like to create those harmonies together in front of the mic and not do them separately. But it was really, really cool to talk to her because she was talking about how it's really important to her and Bruce to really nurture their solo acts and really do the work that they want to do and need to do on their own. And, Kelly Willis kind of came to country music through like 1960s country, rockabilly, like 1960s rockabilly. And then Bruce came to country music through sort of like 1970s, outlaw country. I wonder if I'm getting my decades flip-flopped. But so they have these really distinct sorts of well springs of inspiration, and they both got to country music from these different tributaries. I mean, obviously, when you listen to rockabilly and you listen to outlaw country, you can hear the shared music. You can hear the shared style. Yeah. But rockabilly has an edge, and outlaw country has that sort of brooding darkness. And this record together, there are a lot of characters on the album. There's not like just a whole bunch of like first person narrative songs. But there is a fair amount of up-tempo music, and there are some slower numbers. But if you're a fan of Texas music, and you are already starting to kind of, give yourself some sonic appetizers for the North Texas Fair and Rodeo, which is coming up next month. Yes. I think this is a great album to start listening to get ready for Pat Green and all the folks that are coming to the rodeo. But yeah. What I really liked about the album was just a really honest approach, not just to the lyrics, but to the music. These are 2 different artists, but together they have that sort of alchemy that I think tends to happen in musical families. Yeah. So it's a really good record, Beautiful Lie. If you haven't checked it out, check it out on Spotify, iTunes, any of the digital formats. They have released some vinyl, And
Ooh.
our copy editor who just left,
Departed.
just departed yesterday, Matt Kreider. He is a huge fan of country music and red dirt music. He was telling me yesterday that he has already been kind of eyeing Beautiful Lie, the vinyl.
Yeah.
And he said it's over $40. So it's like a collector's item, and I think
That's
it's a real ornate.
expensive.
Yeah, and I think it's like a special pressing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But no, this is if you're getting ready for the sounds of the fair and rodeo. I think this is a great way to get started. Let me see if tickets are tickets for the Dan's show at 5:00 on Sunday. They range from $15 to $35. Usually at Dan's, if your ticket's a little pricier, that's a seat at a table.
Yeah.
And the cheaper tickets are to stand with your back near a bar, but it should be a really, really, really cool show. The other thing that is going on that I highly recommend for folks, Music Theater of Denton is producing and closing its first ever black box show. This is the last weekend of the show. It's called Next to Normal. It's a newer work, and Music Theater of Denton has been the theater company in town that has really taken a risk on more contemporary musicals in the last 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Next to Normal is about a suburban family who on the outside looks like they've got everything together. They've just got everything clicking. It's a mom and dad, 2 kids. The kids are teenagers. But once you get into the family, you realize that the mother is dealing with mental illness. And it's this new show about what mental illness can do to a family. It's about how families cope with a loved one who has mental illness. The soundtrack is really excellent. It's a really, to me, it's more of a kind of a rock musical. But it's a really good soundtrack. I mean, I think if you're a Hamilton head, I don't know if that's what they call Hamilton fans, and you like
I don't know, but I like it.
Hamilton heads. They used to call Rent fans Rent heads. But you probably will really like the show. Of course, it has nothing to do with American history, but it does have to do with an American family dealing with an illness for which there is still an enormous amount of stigma. And a lot of conversation going on right now in the country about how we medically treat mental illness. So check it out. This is the last weekend, as I said. Performances are 7 p.m. Thursday and Friday. And then, Friday and Saturday, excuse me. And then 2 p.m. on Sunday at the Black Box, which is at 318 East Hickory Street. This is the first time Music Theater of Denton has ever produced a show in the Black Box. And
that's a fun
so this is the
fact.
when I say the last, I mean the last weekend to see this.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, a lot of development going on as Denton Community Theater and Music Theater of Denton begin the steps of their merger. So keep your eye on the newspaper because we've got more coming on that. But hey, I have a feeling you might have some news for us on the business side of things here in Denton.
I do. Okay. So I'm mainly going to just tease my story for tomorrow.
All right.
Because I couldn't wait until the Sunday business section to put this in the paper. Okay. So everyone knows East Side and Oak Street Draft House.
Yes.
They are like the community bars downtown.
With great back patio spaces, back spaces. Yeah.
East Side, I think, even for people who aren't like big drinkers or bar people, East Side is totally a community like congregating space. Like that's where
I saw some people playing a game of Risk outside at East Side once.
That's commitment.
I know.
People do that. That's where a lot of Indivisible Denton meetings are.
Yes.
That's where a ton of events happen, opening early for U.S. women's soccer, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so the brains behind East Side and Oak Street Draft House are working with some other people on a new concept. It's the house next door to East Side. So when John Williams and Patrick Blankus bought East Side, they also had this house, and they were living in it when they were opening the bar. And through the years, they've used the house next door at 125 Oak as a storage space, renting out rooms to bartenders, mainly bar staff, were living there.
I
Because
had no idea. That's a great idea.
I had no idea that was going on, but it makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially because they don't want to be the rude neighbors at East Side, and then
True.
it's somebody
True.
doesn't understand what they're doing when they sign a lease and all of that stuff. So it's mainly been a place for the bartenders to live and work. Not work, but live and store stuff. And so now it's under construction, and you might have seen it pop up on
Yeah.
Facebook. Sunday night, they created the Facebook page for Miss Angeline's.
Oh.
So it's a new bar concept going into that old house. So they've been doing work for months. They tore out the
Yes.
second story. They're starting to put in a 2,500 square foot front patio. They're going to be adding more trees all around it.
Really?
So
More
that
trees?
Yeah, so that it's a like shaded covered
Good idea.
patio.
Very good idea.
And then the inside of the house is, the bar. Okay, so it's called Miss Angeline's. It's named for a bartender from the late 1800s around downtown Denton that Sean Treat had read up on and found. And her name was Miss Angeline, and she was real sick of the Yankees coming and regulating booze and alcohol sales. And so she apparently was just known around town, ran the saloon, and she used to have a deal where you would come in and you would pay 10 cents for a peanut, and with your peanut, you got a free shot of whiskey.
Oh, wow.
Is how she got around
I
some
like
of
this
those
woman.
some of those old laws. So they decided to name it, and they kind of the imagery for the bar is like a silhouette of what a woman would have probably been dressed like and looked like. And so they're incorporating that vibe throughout. So it's set to open sometime at the end of August.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
they really have been
it's
making progress then.
Yeah, it's farther along than I thought that it was. I was surprised with how far along it is. And so with the bar, since there's already a craft beer corridor there,
Right.
John's taking his foot off the pedal with craft beer. There will
Okay.
still be craft beer. There's going to be, but it's mainly cider and sours, and they're
Okay.
only going to have
Ooh.
15 taps for beer.
Okay.
15 of those taps are going to be cocktails on tap,
Cocktails on tap.
which is kind of a concept that we don't have here. But I guess, so the cocktail program is going to be run by Jeremy Dean, who has been the GM at Pascal since it opened.
Oh,
So
yes. Okay, yes.
he said, he's loved that bar, but he wanted to try something new with
Sure,
his friends. And so now he's one of the investors. He's going to be running the cocktail program. And so he was saying that, cocktails are great. Everybody loves to watch it. It's artistry. That's part of the appeal of a place like Pascal's. But sometimes you just want to have a nice drink on the patio instead of something more basic. And so it's going to help them expedite drinks to people. So that's a new take. So it'll be 15 taps of handmade cocktails, and they're going to be making their own sodas in-house and a lot of the accoutrement and stuff. They're going to be basically making their own flavored seltzers and all of this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And with that, they're going to have a full mocktail menu too.
That, you know what? That is something I think that we have needed since the craft beer sort of, I'm going to say renaissance, because bars in Denton are really a fantastic way to be out with your friends and meet new people. But it can sometimes be limiting for folks who are sober, or for people who just aren't big drinkers, but would like to maybe have a glass in hand.
Right. And want to be part of it.
Mocktails. I like it.
I really like it because, one of my best friends is pregnant right now. And so when we've gone to East Side, she still wants to hang out and be with her friends and everything. But it's
you want something more than O'Doul's, you want something more than your non-alcoholic beer.
More than a non-alcoholic beer. And then it's kind of her option there is great. She loves it. Always the St. Arnold root beer. But, it would be nice, I think, to have a spritzer, a lemonade mixer kind of drink. So I think that's really interesting that they're going to be capitalizing kind of on the trend of lower alcohol or no alcohol. And to have those people feel included and
absolutely,
they're getting just as much of an experience.
Now, if there is not some sort of option for peanut and a whiskey at some place on this menu,
they're working on it.
I'm going to be really disappointed.
They're working on it. They're working on a couple of other specials kind of from that area. Apparently, one of her other famous drinks was a hot cola. So she would take a Coke, pour part of it out, pour in some whiskey, and then sell it to you as just a Coke. but it's a hot Coke.
Hot Coke,
'cause
yeah,
it has.
for sure.
So they're going to probably do a twist
like
on
it.
that. The outside patio is going to be about 2,500 square feet. Inside is another
Wow.
2,000 square feet. And also new for a John Williams concept is this is going to be table service. So
Okay.
you're going to have a waitress doing the drink running for you. And again, just trying to have more of a sit-down experience with kind of some new drinks. So it should be really interesting. They're aiming for August 18th. Their drop-dead date that John said he would be happy with opening would be September 1st, which is when it's the anniversary party for Eastside. So really it will be going on in the next couple, like the end of next month. We should expect to see this up and running. And so, story with I talked to Jeremy about the cocktail program and talked to John at length. And so that story will be in tomorrow's paper.
I was kind of surprised because when I would park and then run over to, I go to Authentic Yoga Life for Hot Yoga, which frankly I could probably do in my garage right about now. And I saw construction and remodeling crews inside that building. And I actually thought it was a homeowner. And so then I think around the same time or maybe even a day after you learned about it, I was like, oh, wow. So it's going to be another business. So I wonder how many people will finish up a donut from Back Dough and then like walk over for table service.
Yeah.
They might even sneak a donut onto that patio.
Totally. I think it's also going to be really interesting. John and I were talking about this yesterday, but making that corridor on Oak off of downtown, it's going to help add to like the pedestrian vibe.
Sure.
Expanding the pedestrian vibe outside of just the court square is something that a lot of people in planning are really looking forward to. And so with this will also with the H2 Oak project that is between Oak Street and Hickory. So the part that faces Oak is where their big open playground is going to be.
Right.
And you can get to the business from there. So John really thinks that this whole corridor is really going to transform into a really big pedestrian friendly and
then the pocket park
business oriented
over between like Hoochie's and the apartments over there. I mean, there are already places for folks to hang out, but we are seeing this develop in the downtown business landscape right now, these sort of open spaces for people to stay and kind of mingle. And I think that along with North Central Texas College opening, their building, I think we're going to see more people outside, and not just outside on the square, but outside in downtown Denton, along that corridor and along sort of that triangle. I think of it's not really a triangle, but So I think it's really developing to be a place where if you don't want to be over on the courthouse lawn, you can still be outside and
have options. Yeah. So I think, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how
very
it goes.
exciting.
Yeah, but kind of a new concept for Denton. I know there's a couple of cocktails on tap, and 940s did that for a little bit.
Yes.
But I think they're really capitalizing on something that is what people want. People want to have a nice mixed drink that's a little bit lower in sugar, maybe not as traditional, something that you can't get anywhere else, and they want it fast.
Or a mocktail that looks like a cocktail.
A mocktail.
Of course, it's called a mocktail.
Yeah, so tune in. Read the paper tomorrow for more information.
On this concept, on Kelly Willis, and all sorts of other stuff that's going on.
Yeah. So thanks so much for tuning in with us. We'll see you again next week, 2 p.m. Wednesday on DentonRadio.com for DRC Live.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton.